Hey, and welcome. I'm so happy to see you all here. And today I'm going to be talking about the healthiest foods to eat and what to avoid. Now, I know food is a huge topic, and over the years, I hear people say, well, they say this is good, and then they say that is good, and now this is not good for you. And, you know, what I do is I literally call this if I have a question about anything, I use what I call the common sense approach, right? And so, what does that mean? So, if you think of, let's say, a box of cereal, for example, versus a mango. Okay, this grew out of the ground. It grew on a tree. It's got a seed, so it reproduces. It's not man-made. And some versus something that's processed, right? So okay, I mean, that's an easy one, right? Because some of them might be a little less, and I can get into that too if you like. um but so it's like, okay, common sense means, well, of course, this is not good for me. It's full of sugar and all the other stuff. And versus something natural, something that's grown out of the ground, that hasn't been highly processed. Because there's things in, say, raisin bran. Well, there's raisins in there, right? That's great. So that grew out of the ground. Um, and then but think of all the processing and the things that they do to the flakes that they create, and they create them to stay crunchy also. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but maybe I'll just keep going with this. This is the what not to eat then, right? The cereal. Some of you may be like, well, no, I'm gonna eat cereal. I eat it every morning. Um, but it's like just bringing awareness to what that is. And so, when there's a lot of ingredients listed, I mean, when you really look at that box, like, okay, mango, one ingredient, mango. And then you look at a box of cereal, for example, do you see the list of all the ingredients it took to make that thing? And then sometimes they'll say artificial flavors, and you don't even know what the heck that is. I don't know what that is. And I study this stuff. So, that's an example of kind of doing that. Now, one I've heard over the years is eggs, right? So what about eggs? Oh my gosh, now it's like, oh, we got to eat the whites of the egg versus the whole egg. And because there's fat in it. Well, I will tell you, lecithin is in a yolk. And lecithin is a fat emulsifier. What does that mean? It breaks up the fat in the body. Even though it is fat, it breaks up fat in the body. So Mother Nature has a way of taking care of that. So, you're eating that yolk, but you already have the natural stuff in there that totally breaks that down, the cholesterol and fat. So you don't have to worry about it, because there's always a little more to it. So if you just investigate it a little bit more, that will help you to figure out, okay, is this really good or not good, or, that type of thing. So since I'm talking about what to avoid, I kind of got on that first. I was actually going to do the opposite, but I always roll with whatever comes out. One of the other things to avoid is hydrogenated oils. And, you know, how do you know, right? Well, when you have a clean palate, meaning you don't eat a lot of that stuff, immediately. Like, I know if you give me a piece of chocolate and I put it on my tongue, I'll know right away if it has hydrogenated oils like that, because I can taste it. It tastes like fake food to me. And so, you can develop a palate where you don't even want that stuff, and it's icky. But anytime, like, uh, say, deep fried, that's hydrogenated oils. And why are those bad? Well, what happens is when you consume them, they turn into free radicals in the body. Why do you not want free radicals? Well, free radicals do not create healthy cells. They actually do the opposite. They create cancerous type cells. And, we all have some cancerous cells in our body. It's whether those cancerous cells, because not every single cell is completely healthy and strong, which would be amazing, right? But we live in a toxic world. Um, and we're exposed to so many things, um, that is you can be perfect and you will still be exposed to things just because of the nature of what's all the stuff in this world. But so anyway, so hydrogenated oils will create the free radicals. Free radicals create cancer. So you don't want to be eating that, because you're literally creating more cancerous cells. It's when the cancerous cells start to really replicate and they're in one area and they get really bad that it can, depending on what it is, can be really bad. Although I wasn't going to get on this topic, and maybe I'll do a whole talk on this, is yeah, I think I will do that. I'll do a talk on different foods that can cause cancer and foods that won't cause cancer. So I won't even get into that because I'll digress in a whole other avenue. So the other thing too to avoid is sugar. That is something you don't want in your body. That can also, this wasn't a talk about cancer, but that can also cause cancer in the body. And so why is sugar so bad? Well, sugar, of course, the cancer, also, it messes with your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar is out of balance, guess what you crave? Sugar. It's like this never ending loop of cravings. And sugar, I forget what I read. It's like, this isn't the right number, but like 100 times more addictive than is it cocaine or crack, one of those, some drug. It's a drug, it really is. And you just keep craving it over and over again. And it takes something to get to wean yourself off of it, because it is in everything. It's in everything. It's when you start to look and you start to learn how to look at labels and see how deceptive those marketers are and all the advertising that they put into things. I mean, it's bad. And so, I mentioned cereal at the beginning of the talk. Excuse me. And cereal is loaded with sugar. I remember my mother, she would always eat Special K. She was always on a diet. That's another topic too, the whole diet industry. But she's eating food that's high in sugar, and she's not going to lose weight because of the sugar. But she wouldn't listen to me. You know how family is. But anyway, I was at her house once, and I, staying there, and I'm like, okay, give me a bite of your cereal. And it was so full of sugar. The Special K, right? This is the diet cereal. I felt like I literally took a, spoonful of sugar, put it in milk, and just ate it. It was so sweet. I couldn't even eat a bite of it. But that her palate is used to it. So for her, it didn't taste that sweet. For me, it was like, whoa, it was overwhelmingly sweet. And so that just shows you, as you start to, shift your palate away from that stuff, you can't even eat that anymore. And there are ways to get off of the sugar. And I have a little article on, weaning yourself off sugar. If you're interested in that, you can put your email in the chat and I'll send it to you. But yeah, so, sugar causes a lot of fatigue. I know people say a lot, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. Well, what happens is, in the morning, typically, because of advertising, people will eat things like cereal or bagels. I like bagels myself. Um, uh, Maybe toast with sugar, jelly on it, which has sugar. So typically more things that will make your blood sugar bounce all over the place. So what happens then is your blood sugar will go way, way, way up, and say, by 10 in the morning, then you have this crash. And then you want to go reach for something else because, oh my gosh, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm maybe irritable, and you grab something else quick to eat. So to help your blood sugar go back up again. And, you're on this yo-yo all day long and you don't even realize it till you start, stepping back and going, wait a minute here. And so you're constantly on this yo-yo all day long. This is how people gain weight, because your body's not needing more calories necessarily, although you are hungry, but it's because of the sugar and the highs and lows, and you're in a crash. And then you eat more, and then you're going to gain weight. That's the whole cycle of weight gain. It's not the fat you're eating, it's the sugar you're eating. Unless you're eating French fries every day, of course, I'm talking about good fats. So yeah, so that's one to really avoid. And one way to know if one way to balance. So say you do eat something that's sugar. One way to balance that out would be to eat some protein. So even if you had some nuts or something like that while you're, as you're eating that sugar, that will help level it more, because it'll get you more of a balance. And that's what happens with your blood sugar. The protein will balance it out more, and then you'll be less susceptible to weight gain too. So and of course, if you're eating something with sugar and it has a little more fiber in it, it's going to digest slower in the body, and that will help also, if you do eat something with sugar. But the best way is to do a detox and get yourself off of it, because it is one of those addicting things. The more you start, man, the more it just has a hold on you. And yeah, it can get crazy. And I remember, oh gosh, let's see, it had to be like maybe 6 years ago, because I'm thinking of where I was living. And, it was Halloween, and my daughter and I, and we had gotten some candy, and I was eating some of the candy. And it was after Halloween, we had some left, and I was joking, but of course she puts this on Facebook. I was joking, but kind of not, in a way. I was like, oh my God, I haven't had sugar in 30 minutes, because it was like, I kept wanting to eat it after I started eating it. It was like my body kept wanting to eat it. She goes and posts it on Facebook. It's like my quote, right? And it's not how I typically eat, but so she got a kick out of that and put that on there. But it just shows you. And I was like, whoa, how am I going to get off this stuff? Like, whoa, I just had to keep, I can't even remember now. Either I slowly got off, or maybe I went cold turkey. I don't remember. It was a while back, but it showed me, wow, this stuff is so addicting. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because I think we've all experienced it, because it's so prevalent in our world. It's so prevalent in our foods. It's constantly advertised on TV. A lot of kids grow up eating sugar. I didn't, luckily, so that was good. I never, had a super addiction to it, except at times like that when I just would let myself eat that crap. Oh man, yeah, that can be nasty. So yeah, so really avoiding, we talked about, processed foods, which is like cereal, it's processed versus something that's grown naturally. And if you a few of you came on after I started, you can go back and listen, or I can summarize it really quick. But I said what the approach that I take when I'm, when people are going, oh, it's good this day, and then it's not good that day, and now it's good again. I always do what I call the common sense approach. Like, did it grow out of the ground? Is it natural? Because if it's not, and it's processed, and it's gone through all these steps just to create the product, that's not good. It's not good. Or chemicals have been added to it, which is very common also. So you kind of have to just step back and look at those pieces, and that'll help you to figure it out. So, okay. And so I want to talk about, foods to eat that are really healthy for you. And there's a lot of great foods. And so I picked one from each category, I guess, so to speak. And so I want to talk about fats. And, I talked earlier about hydrogenated fats and why they're not good for you. Well, there's the good fats, why, what those are and why those are so good. And one of my favorite foods is avocado. And avocado is amazing for you. It's got the good fats, right? And what do I mean by good fats? Well, it's omega-3, and those help with a lot of things in the body. It helps with your hormone balance. It helps with your heart health. It helps, with your blood. It's just a really good fat all around. And avocado can be eaten so many different ways. You can put avocado on salad. I mean, there's people that are now eating more avocado, and I know some people have never tried it. If you've never tried it, it's amazing. So yeah, so put it on salads. You can put it in sandwiches. You can put it in, I make guacamole out of it. I love guacamole. It's so yummy, and there's a lot of different ways to make guac. You can mash it and put it on toast. You can just eat it by the spoon right out of it. It's like really rich and creamy. You can make salad dressings out of it. It adds like the creaminess to things. It's just so yummy. And I probably eat one a day, avocado. And one of the things that, if you want to know, I don't even know how to buy it. How do I know? Is it ripe? I can't tell. So one of the things, even if you buy it, if it's slightly hard, you can, if you want to use it right away, you can leave it out for a day or two and it'll soften. But if it's too mushy to the touch, it could be brown inside, because that can happen quickly once they're ripe. And it's best that the little, so where it's picked, there's that little round thing where the vine comes off. If that little, I don't know what to call it, little stem, it's not a stem, it's just round. It's best if that's still in the fruit, or on the fruit when you buy it, because then it can be less brown inside. But that's a couple ways to buy avocado, and man, it's super yummy. The other thing that is really great, and I'm surprised that some people haven't heard of it, but maybe it depends on what part of the country you're in. I was talking to a friend a couple days ago in the UK, and she hasn't even heard of it. So I don't know if it's just in the States or just in my area. Microgreens. Has anyone heard of microgreens? Microgreens are those little, it's like the sprout of a vegetable. So, it starts growing, and they're, maybe this tall. They're like little baby greens, and they're very, very, very tasty. and they have a lot of nutrients in it. And it's almost like a little baby green plant, like a sprout. I love sprouts. And boy, it's hard to find sprouts. I can't find them anymore, which is really, sad. Um, but it's almost like a little sprout. And so it's a good way to get some rich nutrients, um, and some, good variety of nutrients, because there's a lot of different types of microgreens. They even have like an arugula type. Arugula is like totally my favorite salad. I don't know if you've ever eaten arugula, but it's got this like nutty, spicy flavor to it. It's so, so, so good. I love it. But so yeah, so these microgreens, they're concentrated, they're high in nutrients, they've got a lot of good texture to them, good color. You can use them in so many different ways. So this is where you get to be creative in your cooking. And say you even make a pizza, you can put them on pizza. You can even probably put avocado on pizza. And of course you can put them in salads and sandwiches, or maybe even sprinkle it over, vegetables. If you're cooking vegetables, you can put them in salsa, that type of thing. You could even put them in your guacamole. So there's a lot of different varieties of microgreens. And if you have a farmer's market near you, you could do that too. Maybe they have them at the farmer's market. Or if you have what's called a CSA, and I live in an area that has it. I don't know, where everyone lives, but yeah, so if you have a CSA in your area, this is how you can get farm fresh organic vegetables delivered to your home. Well, not delivered. Mine, I have to walk 4 blocks, which is awesome. It's super close, the drop-off area. And so I get these good organic foods, every week. They don't have the microgreens, but we do have a local place that grows them, and they even grow them right out of the, in their place. They don't even have a floor. They have a dirt floor. Okay, hold on one second. I got a couple people here. Okay. So yeah, so that's just some ways, you can use it as a garnish, you can get super creative. I mean, you could even put it in mac and cheese, you can get very creative with a lot of these foods. One of my, hopefully, sorry, it says I have people in the waiting room, but I think I let them in. Hopefully that worked. Okay. So another very good food, and what's really crazy about that food is when I was younger, I didn't like it, but it's blueberries. Blueberries are so high in nutrients, and they're very high in nutrients like flavonoids. So those things will help with the free radicals, which is what I was talking about earlier that you want to avoid. But when you eat things like blueberries, that feeds your cells those healthy nutrients, those antioxidants, which is the flavonoid family, to keep your immune system strong and keep your cells healthy. Say that 3 times in a row. So that keeps your cells very, very healthy and strong. And and anytime too, it's like color. So the 2 things I talked about so far, they were green, this is blue. So different color, tomatoes red, so when you can get a variety of colors. So I don't know if you ever make stir fry, but I make stir fry pretty often, and I always like seeing all the different colors in there, because all those different colors will bring you different types of nutrients. As much as you can get from food. It's pretty tough these days to get your nutrients in food, but the more variety, the better. um, you know, that you can do when you're cooking. So blueberries, I mean, I love to have oatmeal and I put fruit in it. And so and sometimes I use protein powder in it, so I mix it up a little. Um, but blueberries are great in oatmeal in the morning, which is supposed to sustain you. Oatmeal, it does not me. I get hungry quicker when I have oatmeal. So I don't know what it is with me, but everybody else says they don't. So I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but whatever. but but anyway, but I do love to have oatmeal. And blueberries are a great way. You can put blueberries on salad too. You know, if you really get creative, like I talked about a lot of things today that you can put on salad. So, you know, the avocado, the microgreens, the blueberries. Um, and then the next thing I'm going to be talking about, you can put on salads too. So you can really make a big variety of you know, salad and have it not be boring, you know. Don't you just love when you actually go to the salad bars in restaurants and you can put all these things on and it's like it's never the same at home, you know? That's how I feel anyway. It's never the same at home when I make my salad because I don't have like 50 things that I can dump on it, you know, that make it a huge variety and tasty. Because it's important that you have variety and and change things up a little, you know. That's why like adding some of these in, like, you know, hey, put blueberries on my salad. It's not something you think about. Of course they're great by the handful, but you know, or in smoothies or uh, you know, even if you wanted to make some little dessert, you know, to put blueberries in. But very, very high in nutrients and you know, these are so vital to keep our immune system strong, um, because we are, and I said this earlier on the call in case you weren't on, like we are constantly being bombarded with toxins, like more than you even realize. It is in our foods, it's in our water, it's in our air. And so the more that we can take care of this body, the better, because we can get wrapped up in being busy and just grabbing things on the run. And it's so easy to do if you're not paying attention. And so this is one thing, if there's anything in your life to pay attention to, it's this, because your health is everything. Now, my health has been my number one value my whole life. So the choices I make are always around my health. And it's pretty subconscious now that I do this because it's just what I do. But when you're trying to shift, if you're someone who's maybe not eating so well, and you're trying to shift into eating well, you know, this is so important to really pay attention and notice what you're eating, notice what you're putting in your body, because you don't want to be suffering down the road. And that's literally, I think, why I've always done things for my health, because I went, I'm not going to be crippled and, you know, in an old folks home and not being able to function. And I literally did, like, no, that's not going to happen. And so I made a conscious choice at a very young age that wasn't going to happen to me. And so when you make that choice and really decide, no, I'm not going to let that happen, you can start shifting and doing things and small changes to create that good health. And don't try to change everything at once. Like you can even, and I'm going to talk about one more thing here, but you can pick one of those things I talked about, whether it's what to avoid or what to eat, and just do that one thing for a month or two. And then add the next, because it may seem like, well, I'll never get there, but you will. But if you try to change everything at one time, you know, you got to be honest with yourself. You may not do it. I mean, if I have a ton of things, this is how I am. And I do hear this from others. If I have so much, then I get overwhelmed and I'm like, forget it. And then I do nothing. You know, it's too much. We have to take it in steps and stages. And it's okay to do that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're someone that has a hard time, just take it in baby steps and just slowly, get in the habit till it's like it's an unconscious habit. Like I was saying, this is how I live because it's just unconscious. It's just what I do. And that's just because I chose that. And so my behaviors reflect that. And it's also reflected in my health because I have great health, but it's on purpose because of the choices. So, but those habits become really unconscious. You just do it. You don't think about it. It's just what you do, right? Okay, so then one more. So this is in the protein category, and this is beans. Beans are so good. And beans, what I was saying, I had the next thing I was going to talk about, you can put in salad. I love garbanzo beans on my salad. Now, I love garbanzo beans. You may not be someone who loves them, but I do. I love making hummus. Stuff in the store isn't anywhere near as good as making your own. And it's very quick and easy to make. And yeah, hummus is like one of my favorite foods to eat. And really healthy because it's got, also has sesame seeds, and depending on what you put in, garlic and olive oil is how I do mine. It's very quick, but you got to have a processor that breaks it down and makes it creamy. Otherwise, it's not. The first time I made it, it was like, I can't make it. But I realized I wasn't processing it enough and I didn't have a good processor. But once you do, it'll get creamy and good. And beans help. That's a protein, right? So it helps balance that blood sugar. It helps keep you full longer. So you're not eating and your blood sugar is not all over the place. And so then you don't gain weight. And it could even help you lose weight. Depends on, the other things that you eat. But it's a very filling protein and a very healthy protein. And you can get it in a variety of ways. I usually get mine canned, not the best way, I know. And I learned something recently. So now I'm like going to start soaking my own beans. But I had done it years ago where I had these dry beans. I soaked them, cooked them, and they were still horrible. And I was like, I'm never going to be doing that again. Well, I heard actually probably just a couple months ago, someone was saying if the beans are older, they won't, they'll be that way. They won't turn out well. And I was like, maybe that's what happens. So I'm going to try to do my own from dried beans versus canned, because canned, there's so much stuff in our food. I could just go on and on. That drives me crazy. But cans are lined inside of the plastic. So you're getting that BPA, which is more, people are more aware of now. Over the last few years about BPA. It's a plastic that, gets in your body. It affects your, it has xenoestrogens, which affect your hormones and all kinds of things. So yeah, it's not good. It's actually not good at all. So it's best to avoid canned. I don't always avoid it, but yeah. I mean, because you can only do what you can do, right? We can't avoid everything. So you kind of, you can pick your, oh, I can't think of the word. The thing that you shouldn't be doing, but you do. It's at the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it. But anyway, so that's another really good healthy. So I talked about avocado. That's the healthy fat, which will help you lose weight. Yes, omega-3s help you lose weight. And then the microgreens, which is getting your good green nutrients in your body. And then the blueberries, a lot of flavonoids, really good for your immune system. And there's a lot of other fruits that are great too, but I just picked blueberries because I know they're very high in nutrients. And then beans, which really help you, with protein and balancing your blood sugar and keeping your body strong and feeding your muscles and feeding your body. So all of those are very, that's a really good healthy food in each of those categories, the fruit and the vegetable and the fats and the proteins. Yeah. And avoiding the sugar and the processed. And I'm sure you've heard, shop the outside aisles. It's so true, because that's where all the natural, real food is. Really, when you start getting in the aisles, those are where things are processed. And one of these days or months when I'm talking, I'll go into more on reading labels, because there's a lot of deception in labels. And if you can read labels, that will help too when you do buy those types of products, if you know what you're looking for and how deceptive they are in their advertising and stuff in the ingredients in a lot of those processed foods. So does anyone have any questions? I hope this was helpful. And yeah, just let me know if you have a question. I don't see any questions. Might be typing.
Hi, Jody. I have a question.
Hi,
How
Anna.
are you?
Good.
Yeah, that was very informative. Thank you. Actually, it's about the summit that you just did recently.
Oh
Can I
yeah.
ask you a question? It was really good. Thank you very much. I want to purchase the pass, but what I wanted to find out is, because it says unlimited access, but is that like for a limited time, or like how long will you have access to those recordings?
You can. Yeah, I have it on one of my channels, and I don't plan on taking it down, so you'll have it forever.
Oh, okay, good. So
Yeah.
like for at least a year or so, because
Yeah.
like usually people will say lifetime access. So is that something like a lifetime access type of thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and purchase it. It was really
Yeah.
good. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Oh, good. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, good, Carol. Glad it was helpful too. Thank you, Anna, too. So, and hi, is it Nanda? And hi, Ann. Other Ann, not Anna, Ann. Yeah, and if there's any topics you want me to talk on or dig deeper into, I'm happy to take any suggestions too.
I can't think of a particular topic, but if you can, you always have such informative information. So if nobody comes up with anything and you just come up with something that you just move to talk about, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I did my first YouTube live yesterday on my channel. So it was actually at the gym, and I was working out, and I got into a story about how important it is to clear things out that can subtly drain your energy and you don't even know that it's doing it. So if you want to go to my YouTube, you'll find that video on there. So
Cool. Can I ask you another question? Because this summit, it said it was 2.0. So was there a 1.0? Is there one that you did before?
yeah, in January. Yeah. Yep.
That also was kind of the same topics. Is it possible to purchase that as well?
Yeah, I can give you the link to that. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much. You'll
Yeah,
put it
you're
in the
welcome.
chat, maybe? Thank you.
Can you
Or I can
give me,
email you.
yeah, can you just, yeah, give me your email. You might not want to put it in the chat. Can you email me? Do you have my email?
Yeah, yeah, because I subscribe to that,
Oh yeah.
the summit that just finished, you've been sending me the email. So if I can just respond to one of those, is that okay?
Yep, that's perfect.
That would get to you?
Yep, that'll get to me.
Cool. Thank you
Well,
so much.
yeah, you're welcome. Well, thank you, everyone. And yeah, an evening primrose. Yep, that's an omega-3. And yeah, so good.
Well, do you have any ideas about summer solstice, or what would be good in terms of there's a certain diet or certain rituals that would be good around summer solstice?
Yeah, there's going to be some really shifting of energies coming up for the summer solstice. I would actually do more manifesting, like things that you want to manifest, and do some visualization, because the veil is getting thinner and thinner. That's what I would suggest doing, and create the things you want in your life.
Wonderful. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's the season where things are mature, right? Things are coming to its height, its peak
Yeah. Yeah.
in the cycle of nature, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Because
I
then
know,
after that, things. Huh? Go ahead, please.
no, go ahead. You're good.
No, I was going to say because after that, then things, the days start getting shorter, the sun gets cycles long, shorter, and then we move into fall. So like I guess what you just said made me think. Well, that's kind of the peak time in terms of season wise and
Yeah.
height of the sun and all that. So that would make a good sense to try to really be really positive and put it out there, manifest and whatever you want. So that's I could see that that's a good time to do it. It's like when the fruit is ripest. It's when you're at your because after that it's the cycle is just going to repeat itself. Not that you can't manifest in the other cycles, but it becomes a different theme, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
One may be
Yeah.
of, I don't know, I don't know, resting, I don't know, cocooning. I don't know how
Yeah.
to put it,
Yeah. Right. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. And it's like, and right now too, it's, a lot of people say, well, I eat when this is in season, and that's great, and that is awesome, but we can't always do that depending on where we live. So if you think about right now, it is all the greens and all the fresh, and the tomatoes and all the good garden stuff that we have available, now. Cherries, which is my favorite, but man, so many don't have a lot of flavor. It's hit and miss, and I love cherries. But yeah, so those types of things right now to nourish our bodies, like, and spring, a lot of people will detox. I actually did one, not purposely because it was spring. It just happened. I just happened to do it, but I just do them periodically. I'm really big on fasting. It's something I've done for like 20 years. Um, and it's a mind thing. It's a mental thing, and I don't talk a lot about it, and I think I need to do it more, because I always feel like, are people going to do it? Are they? Because it's not easy, especially your first one. But once you start, you feel good. You're getting rid of a lot of that stuff that's built up in your body, and you feel really good after. So fasting is really, really a great, it is something to keep you healthy that I just honestly don't talk a lot about. And I'm probably going to be doing more of that, because it is vital, because we do release, when we fast, we release a lot of that stuff that's built up in our body. And, we get a lot built up in our bodies with this world that we're living in. It's we live in a toxic world, you know, and just from people wearing the masks recently too, that's all building up that, breathing your own carbon monoxide. And there's a lot of stuff with that's coming out, so man, to really clean out our bodies and clean out our cells is important. I mean, I would suggest a fast, but you don't want to just fast. Like, you want to know what you're doing. So you don't want to just like wing it. I had this amazing book. It was probably 20 years ago. And because my daughter was, I think, 2. So yeah, it was 20 years ago. And it was so good, and I lent it to my friend. She lost it, and I tried finding it years ago, and I think it's like $150 now on Amazon, and I don't even remember the name of it, but I have it all here, so I know how to fast. I know it's a process. You don't just like stop eating, and you've got to wean yourself off of food, and then you do your fast, say it's 10 days, and then you have to wean yourself back onto food, to start eating. So there's a process to this. And when you start eating, it's actually harder than the fast because you want to just keep shoving food in your mouth. So, yeah, there's a process to it, but it's an amazing thing to really keep your body healthy and strong too. So
So how does like fasting, you're talking about fasting, like what about what's the difference between the fasting that you're talking about, if any, and like intermittent fasting? And sometimes I think the intermittent fasting is kind of talked about with keto diet. So I wanted to also, if you have time, to talk about your impressions or what you think about the keto diet as well.
yeah, my sisters are always on the keto diet. Um, my sisters are overweight, and it's I'm not big on, I don't like diets. I'm not a fan of them at all. Um, because I see what happens to people, and I know that it's super unhealthy for them because they're eating a lot of things that are more acidic foods, which is something that I'm going to talk about. I kind of mentioned at the beginning. Um, and that acidic is not good. We need more alkaline in our body. And so with the keto, because that's the meat one, right? Meat and cheese and things like that, I think. I don't know, they're always on so many different Weight Watchers, and then it's this and it's that. And
You're right, the keto, that's what I've heard about the keto. It's a lot of meat, a lot of cheese, a lot of
yeah,
fats, a lot
okay,
of
that's the
greasy,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it's not good for you. It's not healthy. Maybe if you did it for a month, but you know, they don't. And I think that's pretty typical. And I just see them gaining and gaining and gaining, and or they'll lose and then they'll gain more back. And it's like I get a little frustrated with them because it's like, why don't you just ask me? I can help you, because I'm not this size just because I'm this size. I'm this size because I know what I'm doing, you know, and I work at it. It's not something that's just automatic. And but we're sisters, so you know how that is with family. But yeah, so then what was the other keto and what, oh, the intermittent. Yeah, I've never done intermittent. I think intermittent is just going a longer period, right? Maybe 12 hours without eating. Say you eat at your last meal at 6 p.m. and then you eat again at 6 a.m., which is good. But if you really want to detox, that's more maybe giving your belly a little rest. Um, but I haven't really studied it, but I'm a huge believer in long-term fasting, because what happens is you're giving your digestion a rest. Your body starts releasing toxins. And then when you do a short little intermittent, it's not going to give you much time to, for that stuff to release out of your body, because you're going to start eating again. So I think they're completely two different things, at least in my opinion. And again, I'm not super familiar with intermittent, but it doesn't seem like enough time, because even if I fast for a day, for me, that's not enough to detox. I just know it isn't, because I can feel the difference after doing it for days versus a day or two. And that's just my opinion, my experience. And I have a lot of experience in fasting. So I'm not a newbie to it at all. So,
Thank you, that's very helpful.
yeah, good. But I think if anything, intermittent's better than nothing, though, so I would agree with that. All right. Well, thank you. This was great. Thank you for being on and listening. And yeah, I'll talk more in depth about this on the
I
next.
do have a question. I put it in the chat.
Oh,
What do you think about artichoke hearts?
oh, that's so weird. I don't see it. Artichoke hearts. I eat them sometimes. I've tried eating them fresh, and I'm telling you, I can't find that little thing in the middle to save my life. I don't know if you have. So I eat them out of the
I
can.
have.
You have, you okay? I've eaten them canned. I love them. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anything bad about them, but I've never actually looked into them very deep. So is there anything you specifically that you?
No, just like the nutrient quality to it.
Mm. Oh, yeah, being a green. So this is where I pull in, like, okay, it's a green, it grows out of the ground. So it's probably pretty good for nutrients. it's not man-made, you know what I mean? So I look at it that way. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they're very tasty. Yep. Okay. Well, good to see you, Ann.
Okay. Good to see you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks. Thank you. How often do you do those summits?
I'm going to do another one in November. So
Excellent.
I hadn't done one in a few years, and this year